You think you know elephants. You have seen them in documentaries, gentle giants swaying through golden grasslands. You have watched them in zoos, standing behind glass, looking almost peaceful. You have seen tourists ride them, feed them, photograph them from inches away. The entire human relationship with elephants has been built around one central idea, that they are wise, calm, and safe. That idea has killed thousands of people, and it is still killing them today. Elephants are responsible for approximately 500 human deaths every single year. That number comes from research compiled across India, Sri Lanka, Central Africa, and Southeast Asia. 500 people every year, killed by an animal that billions of humans have been conditioned to see as gentle, spiritual, and deeply connected to human well-being. The disconnect between the cultural image of the elephant and the biological reality of what an elephant actually is represents one of the most dangerous mass misunderstandings in the history of human interaction with wildlife. This is what elephants actually are, and what they are capable of when the conditions are right. Start with the body, because the body is where the terror begins. An adult African bull elephant weighs between 10,000 and 13,000 pounds. That is 6.5 tons of animal. The largest individuals ever recorded exceeded 24,000 pounds. The shoulder height of a large bull reaches 13 feet. The tusks on a mature male can extend to 10 feet in length and weigh over 100 pounds each. When an animal of this scale decides to move toward you with intent, the physics are not a problem you can solve by running. You're not outrunning it. You're not dodging it. You're not reasoning with it. You are simply in its path, and then you are not standing anymore. An elephant at full charge reaches speeds of 25 miles per hour, across rough terrain, through brush, over obstacles that would slow any human to a crawl. And at that speed, with that mass behind it, the impact force generated is in the range of tens of thousands of pounds per square foot. Vehicles have been overturned. Walls have been demolished. Trees have been knocked flat. A human body in that impact zone is not injured. It is structurally eliminated. But the speed and the mass are not actually the most frightening things about a charging elephant. The most frightening thing is that by the time you recognize the charge is real, it is already too late to respond. Elephants are capable of what researchers call a mock charge, a deliberate full-speed approach that stops short of contact. It is used as a warning, an assessment, and a psychological weapon simultaneously. The problem for any human being in that situation is that there is no reliable external indicator that distinguishes a mock charge from a real one until the animal either stops or it does not. Experienced wildlife rangers and elephant researchers with decades of fieldwork behind them have described the mock charge as one of the most psychologically devastating experiences in wildlife encounters precisely because the survival response it triggers is absolute, and the intellectual knowledge that it might be a bluff provides exactly zero comfort in the moment. Musth is the word you need to understand. It is a periodic physiological and hormonal state that adult bull elephants enter, typically lasting 2 to 3 months, during which testosterone levels in the blood rise to levels 60 times higher than baseline. The behavioral consequences of musth are documented, consistent, and genuinely alarming. Bulls in musth become unpredictable, hypersensitive to perceived threats, and dramatically more aggressive toward anything in their environment, including other elephants, vehicles, structures, and humans. The physical signs of musth are visible if you know what to look for. A dark, oily secretion streams continuously from temporal glands located on the side of the head. Urine dribbles constantly down the hind legs. The animal moves differently, head held higher, with a rolling gait that experienced observers recognize immediately. It vocalizes in lower, more rumbling registers, and it tolerates proximity from almost nothing. A bull elephant in musth that encounters a human being is operating in a neurological and hormonal state that has no analog in ordinary animal behavior. It is not angry in the way a threatened animal is angry. It is in a state of sustained biological agitation that makes aggression not a response to a specific trigger, but a default condition looking for an outlet. Wildlife authorities across India and Africa classify musth bulls as among the most genuinely dangerous animals on Earth during that period, not because they are malicious, but because their biological state makes them structurally incapable of the de-escalation that prevents most wildlife encounters from becoming fatal. Villages in elephant range areas in India have documented periods where a single musth bull moving through the region caused weeks of disruption, destroyed crops, damaged homes, and in some cases killed multiple people before the animal moved on or the musth period ended. These are not exceptional events. They are seasonal realities for tens of millions of people living in elephant range areas across South and Southeast Asia. Now add the memory, because the memory is what makes everything permanent. The cognitive complexity of elephants is not a myth or an exaggeration. It is one of the most thoroughly documented facts in comparative animal psychology. Elephants have the largest brain of any land animal. They demonstrate self-recognition in mirrors, one of the rarest cognitive capabilities in the animal kingdom, shared only by humans, great apes, dolphins, and a small number of other species. They have been observed conducting what researchers carefully but unavoidably describe as mourning rituals over the remains of dead herd members. They return to locations where herd members died, sometimes years later, and interact with the bones in ways that have no functional explanation outside of something resembling grief. And they remember threats, specifically, precisely, and for extraordinarily long periods. Documented cases exist of elephants recognizing and reacting aggressively to specific individuals who harmed them years earlier. In one widely cited case from southern India, an elephant demonstrated consistent avoidance and threat behavior toward a particular mahout who had mistreated it while remaining calm around other handlers for a period spanning several years. The animal had not forgotten. It had cataloged the experience, retained the association, and maintained the behavioral response across years of intervening time. This is not instinct. This is memory functioning at a level of specificity that most people do not associate with any animal outside of human beings. Now, consider what this means in the context of conflict. Human settlements have been expanding into elephant range areas across Africa and Asia for decades. As natural habitat shrinks, elephants increasingly move through agricultural land, raiding crops that represent months of work for farming families living at subsistence level. Farmers respond by driving elephants away using fire, noise, physical deterrence, and in some cases direct physical harm. The elephants remember, the next time that herd moves through that area, it does not encounter a neutral space. It encounters a location associated with threat and pain. The response is not neutrally defensive. It is shaped by everything that happened before. Researchers studying human-elephant conflict in Sri Lanka have documented specific elephant herds that have developed what they describe as proactively aggressive behavior toward human settlements, moving into villages at night, targeting structures, and in several documented cases, appearing to specifically seek out human contact rather than avoiding it. These are not random events. They are the behavioral output of animals with long memories operating in landscapes, where the relationship between elephants and humans has become consistently adversarial. The matriarch is the center of this equation in ways that multiply the danger exponentially. Elephant herds are organized around a dominant female, the matriarch, who is typically the oldest and most experienced member of the group. Her knowledge is the herd's knowledge. Her threat assessments become the herd's threat assessments. When a matriarch classifies something as dangerous, the classification propagates through the group and can persist across generations through social learning. Young elephants learn what to fear, what to avoid, and what to treat as a threat not through individual experience, but by observing and following the matriarch's responses. This means that a single negative interaction between a human community and an elephant herd, particularly one involving the matriarch, can create a multi-generational adversarial dynamic that outlasts the specific individuals involved on both sides. Researchers in Kenya have documented herds whose aggressive response to human presence has persisted across decades, learned by calves who were not yet born when the original conflict occurred, taught by the behavioral responses of the adults around them. The danger is not just the individual animal. The danger is the social memory of the group, accumulated over time, transmitted forward, shaping every encounter that follows. In the temples of South Asia, captive elephants are central to religious ceremonies that have occurred for centuries. These animals live their lives in human contexts, trained from youth, managed by mahouts, participating in processions and rituals that draw enormous crowds. They are treated as sacred. They are believed to carry spiritual significance, and they kill their handlers at a rate that is statistically striking for animals described as domesticated. Temple elephant incidents in Kerala, India, are documented with enough regularity that they have become a recognized category in wildlife injury reporting. Trained elephants, animals that have participated in hundreds of ceremonies, that have been handled by the same mahouts for years, have killed during processions, during bathing, during routine handling, sometimes without any behavioral warning that observers could identify, sometimes apparently in response to stimuli that nobody around the animal recognized as a trigger. An animal that weighs 6 tons and has a memory that spans decades is not fully manageable, regardless of the quality of the training. The training shapes behavior within a range, but the range itself is determined by biology, by hormonal states, by accumulated experience and association, by sensory inputs in the moment that the handlers may not perceive. And when the behavior steps outside that range, the consequences are not correctable in the moment. They are catastrophic. The cruelest irony in human encounters with elephants is that the closeness that people seek, the proximity that feels like connection, the reaching out to touch, the hand feeding, the photographs taken from feet away, is precisely what creates the conditions for the worst outcomes. An elephant that tolerates proximity on one day, in one hormonal state, in one set of environmental conditions, is not making a permanent statement about what it will tolerate on another day, in different conditions, with different inputs. 500 people die every year because they or the people around them treated a 6-ton animal with a 60-year memory and periodic surges of hormonal aggression as something predictable and safe. The animal was never predictable. The animal was never safe. The animal was simply, on most days and in most encounters, choosing not to act on what it was biologically capable of. And on the days it stopped choosing otherwise, nobody saw it coming. Not the tourists with cameras, not the handlers with years of experience, not the researchers who had spent careers learning to read every visible signal the animal produced. Because the signal that mattered most was not visible. It was chemical, hormonal, neurological. It was happening inside an animal whose inner life we can barely begin to understand in a brain larger than our own, carrying memories older than most human relationships. The elephant remembered everything. You just never knew what it was remembering about you.